This episode is brought to you by JLL. Get an insider view into the world of commercial real estate with JLL's podcast, Trends and Insights, the Future of Commercial Real Estate. Whether you're curious about making cities more sustainable, the evolution of office space, or AI opportunities, this podcast will help keep you a step ahead. Tune in for candid conversations with business leaders about the biggest trends impacting how we live, work, and play. Subscribe to Trends and Insights now at jll.com/podcast.
Dreaming of a better sleep? Tossing and turning is not your destiny. And Ollie is here to help. Ollie invites you to sink into sweet, sweet slumber to improve your mental and physical health and overall wellness. More than just melatonin, Ollie's ingredients help you unwind your mind for a delightfully dreamy drift off. Sleep is on the way at Ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
Welcome to Wine with HR. I'm Jules.
Hey there, I'm Trish.
Lawyers turned HR professionals. Through our company, Monarch Endeavors, we guide employers through their oh shit moments with their employees.
In this podcast, we will discuss some of the most common and commonly frustrating HR problems while enjoying our favorite adult beverage, wine.
So sit back, grab a glass if you choose, and join us as we think about and drink about all things HR.
Welcome to our episode. You know, the one where three friends started working together. It really gave us a great idea for a new episode. I want to, before we talk about working with friends, because you guys know me, give you some stats. 90% of first-time managers have said they struggled to navigate those boundaries between being a boss and a friend, and more than 70% have lost friendships since becoming a manager. This came from a Harvard Business Review article that I'll attach in the show notes later. But more importantly, why are we talking about this, Julie?
We are talking about this because on today's episode, we have a very special guest who is one of our very best friends.
Very best.
Deborah Palmer. And the three of us work together through Monarch. So we decided that because so many managers do struggle to navigate the boundaries between working with their friends, being a boss, and maintaining that friendship, that this was a great thing to have Deborah on to talk about. So we want to welcome Deborah.
Thank you,
ladies. It's wonderful to be on.
Yay, good. We're so excited to have you. So before we get into the nitty gritty about the WHINE, we got to talk about the WINE. And today, Deborah has brought us a very special wine. So we're going to let her tell you about it.
Well, thank you. It's fun to actually do the wine that I want to do this time. I've been watching you guys and listening to your wines, and I thought, wow, this is fun. The wine I chose for today is actually called Red Mountain, and it is a Washington Syrah.
Ooh, I love Syrahs.
I don't drink a ton of Syrah, so when I first tried this, I was blown away by how much I really liked it. One of the things I like about it is that it is very, very dry.
Yes.
And it's just a kind of a simple wine in that sense. There's not too much going on. There's just enough that you can enjoy it, but you're not overwhelmed by too much going on. So what did you guys find out?
I'm tasting blackberry or currant. Maybe it's currant.
I'm tasting black pepper on the back end.
Probably a lot of both.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate?
It's very nice. Mm-hmm. Maybe some tobacco.
Ooh.
Possibly. A little nutmeg.
I think she's cheating. She might have had this before.
It is very nice. Well,
it's delicious, Deborah. Thank you.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you. And we have to let you know that we are drinking it out of wine glasses that have funny sayings on them. So Trisha says,
I make poor decisions. That's for all of you HR professionals and managers out there who, like me, maybe have had to learn from your mistakes.
And that's POUR. decisions.
I also pour for everyone.
Mine says uncork and unwind. And Deborah says
her wineness, which I will gladly drink to that.
yes.
Cheer here. Cheers. That was an unofficial clink.
Yes,
I think we need an official clink with all three. There we go.
Okay, so as we were talking about, the WHINE of this episode is the best and worst parts of working with your friends, or at least the most challenging parts. Because, of course, the dream is to get to work with people that you really enjoy being around. And who better than your best friends, right?
Best friends for way too many years.
Yes, for way too many years. But it doesn't come without its challenges. So, again, that's why we thought this would be a great episode. So, my personal perspective is that I always wanted to build a company where I could spend my days working with my friends, particularly my best friends. And there are a lot of reasons for that. But one of the biggest ones is that I trust these two ladies sitting next to me with my life. And I know that they are going to care about my business as much as they care about me. And that is a rare thing to find in a stranger. So it's always been a dream of mine to get to work with them. And the fact that I do infuses me with gratitude on a daily basis. And I consider myself to be one of the luckiest people out there. So now that I've made them both cry.
I'm seriously so glad this isn't on video. Oh my gosh.
I am going to turn it over to Deborah and give Trisha a minute to collect herself.
Oh my goodness. How do you follow that? Wow. So I would say that one of the things that I really, really love and think is the biggest benefit of being with your true friends at work is, for me, I feel I'm at my best. Mm-hmm. I am with the people who forgive my mistakes or can very honestly tell me if I'm offline or I'm not seeing something correctly. And I value their opinion immensely. You know, at the same time, they're the biggest cheerleaders. So for me, I am pushed higher and higher. And I think I excel in my work when I'm working with my close friends. So for me, I would say, you know, that's a huge factor and one of the greatest reasons.
I love that. I would say, actually, I'm going to piggyback off of yours, Deb. You guys inspire me. You inspire me to do more, to be better, and to be the best at what I do. That, for me, is the highlight. Now, the challenge and something that some of you all might face out there is the fact that I have this horrible fear of letting you both down. And that is, you know, it's not a negative, but there is that fear that's there. But on the same time, it's also motivating, which is very, real. Yeah, it's very, very, very real. And so you guys can obviously tell that the three of us love each other very much. We've been friends for a very long time. And this may not be the kind of situation you have. Maybe it's just a friend or a great friend, but not your best friend. Maybe you met at work. Maybe you knew each other from before and you got the person the job, or vice versa. So we'll really focus on more of that through the rest of this episode. But I want to tell you that people are scared of friendships. Mm-hmm. People hide friendships at work. And there was this really, really cool, and you guys know how I am about my studies, again, from a different Harvard Business Review article. This one was from 2022. And again, there'll be a link in the show notes. It's called The Power of Work Friends. And in that, they talk about a Gallup poll. And in that Gallup poll, they were talking about, especially after the pandemic, having a best friend at work has an even greater impact on important work outcomes or business outcomes. So if you are concerned about whether or not your employees would recommend people to your workplace, or if your employees intend to leave, or what their overall satisfaction is, those who have friends in the workplace actually tend to stay. They tend to bring in their friends, and they're happier at work, which, by the way, guess what? You know what that leads to?
Better retention.
Boom. And what else?
Better engagement.
Boom. What else?
Better efficiency.
Better bottom
production.
line.
Yes, all of the above. Gosh, we could go on and on and on about that. So this is a really exciting topic for us to talk to you about. And there's all sorts of great things, as we've mentioned, but there are a few challenges as well. Julie, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges is when you move from a position of being a coworker with somebody to now you're their boss.
Eek.
Or vice versa, you are now the subordinate and you now report to your friend. That can be really difficult. So it can be really hard to reprimand somebody who you consider a friend. It can be really hard to hold them accountable because you may not want to, quote unquote, ruin their career or, give them a mark, a disciplinary mark. So you don't do it, even though you know that you should or you would with somebody else. It can appear that you favor that person, particularly if you're seen going out to lunch with them all the time or to happy hour, or people know that you have a really close friendship. That can be hard for other employees. So as the manager, it's really good to be cognizant of how that might look and do what you can to minimize that appearance. And it does install a new power dynamic between the two of you, which can be really challenging. So I will save my tips for how to correct that for best practices. And I am going to turn it over to Deborah to talk about what it's like, the challenges in going to work for a friend.
Because in case you guys haven't figured out, Deborah and I do work for Julie. This is her company. She is the master, what do we call it? The evil genius behind Monarch.
Yes. So keep in mind, Deborah, I'm sitting right next to
you. Duly noted. So going to work for a friend is definitely a challenge. I mean, there definitely is, as Trisha said earlier, expectation concerns. So, on the one hand, as she said, there's that fear that you're not going to meet the expectations, or that perhaps, your friend will ask for one thing, you'll give another, and that's not what they wanted, but then there won't be communication and there'll be some sort of, misunderstanding, or it could hurt the friendship. So that is definitely a concern when going to work for a friend. Separating your work from your personal life, it's kind of a hard thing to do, especially when you are close. It's very difficult to maintain those workout hours and to recognize that, okay, we're working right now and we're going to have to save that for the glass of wine after work.
Good point. Save it for after work. Excellent point.
We need to really to focus on just the work and save the personal life for later. That also comes along with the, bad day, good day. You have a good day at work, bad day at work in a normal work environment. And when you're working for a friend or with a friend, you need to recognize, well, if you were at work, you would probably be hiding it from your coworkers. So that's one of those moments where it's like, I know that's your good friend, but just power through the day. So,
yes.
I think there's a lot of things like that where you just have to have give and take. We'll talk about, how to work with that in a positive way as we go forward. But I definitely would say that there is, not only the fear of, disappointment, but also the fear that your communication won't be correct and your expectations. So it's a slippery slope, but it can be done.
Yes. I think that's one of the places that we actually have excelled as we've grown together as friends over these last so many years. We have learned better communication, but that is actually one of the benefits, right, of working with friends is that you can communicate better because you know their communication styles. You're a little more forgiving if they happen to snap off a comment or an email. There isn't that kind of bias that exists regularly. If it's from your boss or if it's from someone that is not your friend, then you're kind of like, oh, what was that meant to be? I love what both of you said, and I'm going to kind of pull in from both perspectives, whether it's from you were coworkers and then moving to the subordinate relationship, or whether, hey, a friend got you a job. Either one of those, don't let personal disagreements impact your professional decisions. You may be having some issues in your personal relationship, but if you let those kind of move their way into the professional arena, you could really, really impact and affect someone's ultimate growth opportunities. So please be careful about that. We also want your professional decisions or your professional opinion not to impact your personal opinions or personal relationships outside of work. So this is kind of a flipped scenario here. You get upset with someone at work. You don't want to let that impact your personal. Personal is personal. Work is work. And I know that that's hard to say, but I think that's something that we've done a really great job with the three of us. Don't you agree? Julie's like, oh, yeah.
No, yes, I do. I was afraid I was making too much noise in the background.
We just say you're right all the time. And
that is not what we are advising.
Sorry.
That's just a bunch of personal love amongst friends. And I would say, let's do a quick cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. All right.
No, I would say, I said, going off of what you just said, I think one of the greatest things is to be able to be valued as an employee, but also to recognize that you can just be disagreed with.
Yeah.
So I might have an opinion that I think is valuable for you, and you'll say, wow, that is so valuable. I really like that. And then you'll do something else. And, quite honestly, that's the whole point of the relationship, is to be able to share, which is what you want me to do, and then make the decision that's best for your business.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I definitely agree. Actually, that's the perfect. Let's talk about favoritism. Let me roll into favoritism real quick then, because what if, your friend makes a decision, right? Or your friend makes a suggestion, and because they're your friend, you go with it. This could end up being a problem. Or if you are putting people on different teams and your friend is always getting the best jobs or the best projects, that could create a real problem too. So you want to make sure that you are being inclusive. Do not just focus on your friends and oh yeah, I'm going to give them this job. I'm going to give them this project. Or even if, let's talk about it outside of that realm, like going to work or having coffee or going to work. Let's try that again. Going to lunch at work or going out for coffee or something like that.
Happy hour.
Yes, you want to make sure that you aren't just including those that you are friends with. Make sure to include everyone. That whole inclusivity portion and belonging is something I always want to focus on in every episode so that everyone feels that they're welcome.
Can I add something to that?
Of course.
So one of the things I would say where I've noticed is the most is travel. So working with different organizations with big sales meetings and events outside of work, it's really important to make sure that what you're doing a social event outside of work, whether or not you're traveling overnight or whether or not it's just an event in the evening, that you're giving attention to everybody, not to your personal friends. You are still in a professional atmosphere. You are still working. So you need to recognize that. And I see sometimes that's a challenge for people because they're gravitating towards their dear friend and they want to sit with them or be with them or spend time with them, but you just need to keep recognizing.
Oh, Deb, I love that. That's huge.
I think that's a great point because it would be very tempting if, say, I had to go to New Orleans for work and I was like, who do I want to take with me? I want to take my two best friends.
Me.
Amen.
Right? And I may not even give it a second thought, but to anybody else who works for me or works with us, they could feel very excluded by that. And they could feel like they're never going to be part of the inner circle and that it's somehow a reflection on them when it isn't. It's just me being careless. So it is I think that's a great point to make that if you happen to be the one who has that kind of power, you have to be careful how you use it.
That makes a huge impact on the morale of your team and the company overall. Yeah, really great point.
Yep.
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
Do you love news about LinkedIn, Indeed, Google, and just about every other recruitment tech company out there?
Hell yeah. I'm Chad.
I'm Cheese.
We're the Chad and Cheese Podcast.
All the latest recruiting news and insights are on our show.
Dripping in snark and attitude.
Subscribe today wherever you listen to your podcasts.
We out.
I want to get a little bit into what you can do. So some of our best practices. And the one that I think is most important is that you have to, if you are the person who has become the boss, or you are the person who is the boss, you have to have a conversation with your friend about what it's going to look like in this new relationship. So I used to do this when I was lawyering, which y'all know I try really hard not to do anymore. But I did this. I became a partner, and all of a sudden, a lot of the associates that I worked with as friends were now underneath me, so to speak. And I let them know, hey, listen, we are still friends, and I, really value your friendship, but I'm going to be straight with you. And if you do something that I think is a mistake, I'm going to give you honest feedback. And if you write a crappy brief for me, I'm going to be brutal.
Ouch.
I'm going to get out the
glad
Sharpie.
I didn't lawyer with her.
I was about to say she's calmed down since then.
Right? But you both know I'm going to get out the Sharpie.
Oh, yeah.
This is true. The red
And
one.
the
Not
red
the black
one.
one.
Yep, the red one. And I'm going to be honest because that's only going to help you.
Yes.
And we have to be able to have those frank and direct conversations. But you need to have that conversation up front. Like, here's what's going to happen. Here's my expectations as the boss. I want to know what your expectations are as my direct report. And we need to figure out how to communicate in a different way that still preserves our friendship.
And I want to jump in on that because I think that's the perfect segue into that focus on performance versus the friendship, right? Because you could attack the person, which is something you would never do, but never. But that is, I think, a really huge point is you have to have the ability to be able to correct them and help them grow and have them understand that the feedback that you're providing is designed to make them a better lawyer in the future, right? But on the flip side of that, I think that people, if they're not ready to receive that kind of feedback, then they're going to look at it as an attack on your friendship. And so by making that separation, by setting those clear expectations that you mentioned, we can give the responses to the performance that are needed and leave the friendship out of it.
Agreed, 100%. Definitely focus on the action specifically.
Yes.
This action was, the problem, not you as a person. To add to that, I think one of the biggest things is to not skip the first time it happens. So the first time anything happens, no matter what it is, it needs to be addressed. You need to, as the manager, address it, and, as the employee, be willing to take that feedback.
Deborah, as the employee, be willing to have that conversation respectfully with your manager, right?
Correct. If they have something that is uncomfortable for them or not within the expectations that they have.
Perfect.
And it's a perfect segue to the second point I want to make, which is this is a two-way street. Mm-hmm. So the expectations don't go one way. They go both ways. So there needs to be clear expectations from both sides and understanding from both sides that if anything seems different than what everybody agreed upon, it will be discussed quickly and calmly and just move on.
I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I had one more thing I wanted to add to that.
Please do.
So the other thing I wanted to say was communicate directly. So I love putting things in writing. I love it. It's so important to put things in writing. However, when it comes to friends, I'm not sure the risk of people misconstruing text or email is worth it. So I would say a direct conversation, talking about it would be the best way to go, so they can see your face, see the kindness in your eyes, and not read a text or an email and see something else behind it. So I really think that when it comes to friends, you are better off just face-to-face, having the conversation and leading it with, hey, we need to have a conversation as we talked about, because we said we're going to talk anytime things don't seem what we expected.
I love that. I love that. And I think actually, for those of you who do want to document, because, Julie and I say if it's not in writing, it didn't happen, then send an email afterwards saying, exactly, Deb, exactly. So I'm so glad that we were able to discuss X, Y, and Z, and that we're going to do this moving forward. I think that is perfect. Kind of because we just keep piggybacking off each other. I think this next one for me is probably a huge one, which is be respectful of each other's work styles. So if we could talk about personality types, we don't need to get into it for our listeners, but good Lord, we are all so very different. And so are our work styles. And honestly, I know that I can drive the two of you crazy. It's okay. I see.
Same. No, same.
Yeah.
That's a
yeah,
cheers.
that's a cheers.
True story.
I just realized that when I cheers with you guys, I can't not tap all the yuckies off. And so I'm probably banging their ears. So to our listeners, I apologize. But truthfully and honestly, we all respect each other's work styles. We drive each other crazy with them, but we also respect them because we know it's our process. And I think that that's an important thing to share with our listeners so that they understand that just because someone doesn't do things the way you do doesn't mean it isn't right. So be respectful and wait to see what they come up with, because ultimately, I think we all, especially when it comes to friends, and because we're friends, we work harder, right? We work harder because we don't want to disappoint our friends. And so give them the chime. Give them the chance and give them the time to show you what they can do.
Yes. And while we're talking about that, I do want to kind of get back to something we've talked about with that favoritism, because as you're giving friends the time to work in the way that they work, you have to give everybody else that time as well. And I think I shared an episode last season. I shared an experience on an episode last season, sorry about that, where I had realized I was sort of playing favorites at my law firm because there was a particular group of people I always went to coffee with. And once I realized that, I put measures in place to make sure that I wasn't doing that anymore. So I wanted to just kind of point that out, that you may need to, as the supervisor or the manager who is in charge of people, including your friends, you want to have measures in place to make sure that you are assigning work in a equal way, that you are giving people the same chances to get in front of clients, to go on trips, like Deborah mentioned, to various conferences. You want to make sure everybody feels that they're having the same opportunity to grow and they're not in a disadvantaged position because they didn't happen to be your friend.
Love it. Deborah, you have one final before I give my final?
If I could sum up the final in one word, I would say honesty.
Oh, good one.
I think it's crucial, beyond crucial, but I would always say sleep on it first. I think sometimes, especially with people that we care the most about, we can react the most
harsh.
Yeah, perhaps. Or we're more sensitive.
Yeah.
So I would say sometimes, especially in a professional situation, you might want to sleep on it and make sure you're not too emotional in your reaction. and settle that emotional intelligence to a good level.
Ooh, like it.
And
Good tie-in.
then kind of write down your thoughts and make sure that you feel that you're being logical and fair
I like it.
before you have the conversation. So, but I would say honesty.
Yeah, I love that. For me, I would remind our new managers that it's not about power or control. It's about supporting and guiding each member of your team so that they can grow, not just professionally, but personally as well, so that they can deliver their best performance, yes, to you at work, but also to those at home. And for goodness sakes, watch what you say on social media. I mean, look, I had, before I left the workforce to go out on my own and join Julie, I did not become friends with, I was friends with people at work, but I wasn't friends with them on social media. I left those completely separate. If you do not have that rule, then please be very, very, very careful about what you do and say.
I would say I have the same rule. In fact, it's kind of a joke because I have had I'm a contractor most of the time. And so the second I end my job, I can friend all my friends.
Yes,
but
I love that.
I'm never on social media with people until I no longer work with them. And I don't really post anything that should be of concern. It's just cardinal rule to keep it
it's
separate.
Just smart.
That's
yeah,
all.
I agree. And Jules?
One last tip, and then we're going to start to wrap this up. So make time to nurture your personal relationship outside of work. So don't forget about the personal relationship. We always said when we started working together that our friendship comes first because we've been friends for a lot longer than we've worked together. Yeah. And so the friendship still needs to be nurtured. You need to still do things. Just don't post them on Facebook.
Right.
Or Instagram or any of the other places. Just enjoy being with each other someplace where nobody needs to know about it. It's all good.
Yes.
But because it is a balance, and to preserve the friendship, you still have to take care of the friendship. And then when you're at work, you have to take care of the working relationship. So just make sure to tend to both and you should be okay.
Separately. Tend to both separately.
Very nicely said, Julie.
All right. Before we get to the wine, because you guys know I am such a stat person, I do want to throw a couple of things out there for you. I mentioned earlier that Gallup poll data. It does show that having a best friend at work is strongly linked to the best and most positive business outcomes, like profitability, hey, safety, inventory control, and my personal favorite, employee retention. And not only that, but because I can't help it, I get so excited. If you guys could see me, I'm like wringing my hands. I'm so excited. The University of Pennsylvania and University of Minnesota said, okay, all right, not only are those close friendships, like not only do they increase productivity, but they told us why they do. And that's because friends are more committed. Are we?
Yeah.
Communicate better?
Yeah.
Do we?
Yep.
Encourage each other?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heck
sure.
yeah.
Yes.
Right? And so that is one of the reasons why you want to encourage your employees to be friends at work. A couple more really interesting things. The first one is that when we were looking at, there was this global study by the International Social Survey Program, and they were talking about how interpersonal relationships actually have a positive impact on job satisfaction. Wow, I can't even say it now. Job satisfaction. And so they were looking at 12 different aspects of that. The number one, I love this so much. The number one was that relationships actually provided the best job satisfaction, if people had good relationships at work.
That makes sense.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So, you guys, I'm not going to bore you with all my stats and statistics, but if you're interested, of course, as always, we will have a link to that in the show notes. And there's another one in there from Time, which is why work friends are crucial for your health. Please check that out. And HR managers understand that while sometimes it can present challenges for you, the benefits far outweigh the challenges as long as you're following our tips and tricks.
Perfect. All right. So now we got to get back to the WINE. So, Deborah, what are your thoughts?
Well, I brought the wine, so I like the wine. Again, I just feel like this is just such a lovely, easy red. And I think for people who I love a full-bodied wine, but this one is not, I would say, very full body. It's more of just a subtle dry wine. It's fabulous for any time. You can have it with food. You can have it without food. You can enjoy it at any time. So I would say it's lovely.
I'm imagining it with steak.
Yeah, steak for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I would say ditto.
Yeah. I would say, though, that I agree completely on the dry, but I feel like there's a lot more going on than you're saying. Like, I feel like every time I taste it, my little taste buds are singing a happy song.
Sure. I think it's just, it's not very fruity. So a lot of the full-bodied wines are so fruity, and they're just, you can feel it just, where this one, I feel the flavors, like you were saying, the tobacco and the, like it's
subtle.
It's more of a subtle, smooth.
I defer.
So subtle and smooth.
On that note,
we'll put the bottle information in
the show notes. Yes, we will.
Look at how we agree and defer to each other.
Yes. All right. But you've heard us ramble on long enough. So we will wrap this episode up. We thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this episode has been enlightening.
And I would just like to say thank you so much for having me as a guest on the show. I've been watching the show, enjoying the show, laughing at the show, drinking wine. And it is so much fun to be on the show. So if anyone wants to be a guest, I highly recommend it.
Yes, as always, if you have ideas about topics, feel free to drop us a line. Deborah, thank you so much for joining us. Sure. It was wonderful. Cheers. Cheers. One last cheers.
Love you, ladies.
And
we love you, listeners. Please continue to check in with us
wherever you get your podcasts. We thank you. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.